Hello, everyone. The teach-a-thon is winding down, but we have saved the best for last. This is Ms. Jenn Lee, and she is going to talk about change management and empathy. She's a student at Concordia University, Chicago, and I'm sure she'll tell you some more about herself, but she's also a very good friend of mine. And John, I think you're going to really enjoy her presentation.
Great.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much, Karen and John. All right, I will take the floor from you. Thank you, Karen.
Yes. Do you want me to pop down out of the frame, or you want me to stay right here?
Staying
So I
right there
can.
is great. I like seeing
Okay.
your happy face.
I will smile and nod and encourage you.
That's exactly what we need. All right, welcome everyone. I am so thrilled to be here today with you to discuss change management and empathy together. My name is Jennifer Lee. And before we begin to get into the meat of things, let me share a story with you. So bear with me. Several years ago, my father and I took a trip to Taiwan, our first time, and we decided to take a Bullet Express train from Taipei, the main city, to a scenic mountain whose name I have since forgotten. I cannot recall. It's very beautiful. Yada yada, all great. So it's about a 3-hour train trip. And to preface, I'm one of those people that do not like to go to public restrooms unless I have to, desperately. With that said, okay, about 2 hours in, I see a person emerging from what looks like the restrooms. Great. I get up and I enter this tiny little room. It's metal. First thing I notice, the toilet bowl is very small. It's metal and there's no toilet seat, which to me is not strange because I have been to hostel camps in Europe and those did not have seats. So I shrugged and figured it was a cultural difference. Great. So anyway, turn around, start relieving myself. And to my horror, because facing directly from me, across from me, was the door, I noticed a glass window. Kind of strange because anyone walking by could see right through and I'm right there, full frontal. Obviously, my clothes were on, but I am female, so there are parts that were visible, right? And I'm just still, nothing clicked in my head. And I'm just like, what kind of design is this? This is very strange. And again, like I prefaced earlier, I waited till I was desperate. So my bladder had still a ways to go. And so I physically stopped myself midstream. This is very difficult. And left and got dressed, right? Found the correct gender bathroom after some searching. And so I obviously was mortified. Now, years later, it is hilarious. But how does this apply to change management and empathy? I'll explain in a little bit. Before I do, I just want to say a quick thank you so much to John Okewole and Dr. Karen Jackson for being so wonderful and so helpful throughout this whole experience. The entire Teach-a-thon network has been absolutely lovely. So thank you for inviting me. All right. How does a train bathroom and change theory work together? Change theory was invented by a Swedish professor who I will show you a video in just a few seconds, who will explain this way better than I can. And Chip and Dan Heath popularized this analogy about the rider and elephant in their book Switch. So that was my train story. I forgot about my slides. I got really into my story. All right, quickly. The rider, if you'll think about it, is an average human-sized person. Yay high, very, very normal. And that is the analytical side of you. That's up here, your brain. You think about this. However, that part of you that deliberates and analyzes, looks into the future, he or she also has a tendency to spin their wheels. They can overanalyze. The elephant. This is the emotional side of you. bearing in mind the elephant and a rider. So the rider is, this big and the elephant's much bigger. So that is the instinctive side of you. Feels pain, pleasure, wants instant gratification. So if you've ever failed at a diet, overeaten, overslept, also me, procrastinated, said something you regretted in the heat of a moment, that is all thanks to your elephant. So say thank you. Now that we've learned just a little bit about that, let's watch the video. Here we go.
Psychologists know that there are two systems in our brains, the rational system and the emotional system. Jonathan Haidt, who's a psychologist at NYU, came up with a great analogy for these two systems. He said, think of your brain as a human rider atop an elephant. The rider represents the rational system. That's the part of us that plans and problem solves. The rider might do some analyzing and decide, hey, I want to go that way. But it's the elephant, representing the emotional system, that provides the power for the journey. The rider can try to lead the elephant or drag the elephant, but if these two ever disagree, who would you bet on? The elephant has a 6-ton weight advantage, and it's exactly that power imbalance that makes adopting new behaviors very hard. If you want this duo to head a new direction, you also need to think about the path, which represents the external environment. This duo is more likely to complete a journey if you can shorten the distance and remove any obstacles in their way. So bottom line, if you want to lead change, you've got to do 3 things. Give direction to the rider, knowledge of how to get to the destination. You've got to motivate the elephant, which means tapping into emotion. And finally, you need to shape the path to allow for easy progress. That's how change happens.
Great. I hope you liked that video as much as I did. So what that teaches us is when the rider spins his or her wheels and the elephant goes off track, no change will happen. And this is actually quite easy, that nothing changes, because it's hard. When the rider and the elephant moves together in conjunction, change comes easily. What did the train incident show me? Were the signs easy to understand? Trust me, I looked because I was, what? How could I make that mistake? I looked, and I do not read Chinese characters. I am originally Chinese, but I do recognize the characters for female and male. I learned those very early on. Those are very important. None of that. And I looked because I've traveled internationally before. I've traveled to other Chinese-speaking countries before. Was there a visual icon or a logo, maybe with, a stick figure with pants or a stick figure with a dress? Obvious visual aids. No, there wasn't. So I don't think the designer of the system, of the transportation system, intended to embarrass those of us who aren't as quick on the uptake. But how did it make me feel? How did it make others feel? I don't know if I'm the only one who made that mistake, but I definitely felt quite mortified, quite ridiculous, and it really, shaded the whole experience of it, which now is really funny, and I can share with you. But this is also the first time I've really shared the story with anyone. So in the end, understanding, ease of understanding your message, clear directions, instinctive designs are vital to change management. How often, let me ask you this, how often have you struggled to open a door? Do you push, pull, swing, something else entirely, jump through? It's all in the door handles. Without going too much into this, I'm very passionate about this subject. Don Norman, in his book, The Design of Everyday Things, describes, ideally, you should not have to think about how to open a door. Design should be instinctive, easy to understand, smooth, and seamless. Because if you've ever stood at a door trying to push, still not opening, what am I doing wrong? Oh, it's pull. Design that requires an instruction manual with a little sign that says pull or push, well, at least they fix the problem, they fix the design flaw. But what about those that don't? How is this communicating to others? So in this, how are you communicating to yourself on managing change, on managing all these extraordinary times we're living in and all these things that are flying at us? Maybe even every day, something's different is happening. Think about that. What does all this have to do with change management? As we see, we need to direct the rider, motivate the elephant in you, and shape the path. This applies for both yourself and for your team or your students. Empathy is made up of resilience and curiosity. First, let's discuss about ourselves. You as a leader, a manager, a teacher, educator, you're important. How do you build resilience for yourself? You can evaluate your level of control. I might be speaking out of turn, but I certainly felt victimized by this pandemic, and I count myself lucky that I have not lost someone I love yet, but I say yet, but I know that there are those who have, or who have lost someone in their community, someone they admired, etc. Mm-hmm. And we feel like we don't have control over the situation. So what can I do as a person? What can I do as a leader, or as an employee, as a team member? What can I do to take responsibility? For example, right now in Hawaii, where I currently reside, the K-12 education system is constantly in flux, and I'm sure this is a case around the world. The issue is my government is deciding to sometimes spontaneously do renewed lockdowns, in which means schools that were intending to open at a certain date, preparing all the parents, curriculum, students, they are now suddenly locked down again with no clear direction. So almost every day, teachers, resource teachers, districts are all scrambling, trying to change their plan, change the next plan, change your plan C, D, E. Now they're on plan 578, who knows? So what can you do? Think about that. Think of the task you do have. Be proactive, take initiative. If you have a preference for a virtual platform, bring it up to your team. Things like that. Find something that you can control and feel like a leader on. This is your rider shaping the path for yourself. Next, self-care after loss. I already mentioned that if you have lost someone, my condolences, this was a difficult time. But not even to that extreme. You could have lost routines, rituals. Before the pandemic, used to teach 4 fitness classes a week, and now that's all gone. So that's a loss. And referencing back to where I live, our culture here, we really celebrate high school graduations. It is a vital, almost more than Sweet 16s. It's big. For many families here, it's the one and only time their kids will do something that celebratory. They may never go to college after this. And so if you've seen stereotypes of Hawaii with flower necklaces, the leis, at any graduation across the state, you will see them stacked up all the way. You can't see their face anymore. It's a beautiful celebration. It's wonderful. And that's all gone. And so that was hard to see all my community, my loved ones. I have teacher friends, I have student friends, I have people with, I know friends with kids. They suddenly lost that moment, which, in the grand scheme of things isn't the end of the world, but it's a loss. So make sure to take care of yourself if you are experiencing that. Pay attention to what you learned and seek support. Check your thought patterns. Right now, it's easy to say, oh, everything sucks, the world's just ending. It's really easy to see in a black and white. Oh, my day was terrible. Oh, my day was great. But it's either or. There's no in between. And if that is where you notice your thought patterns going, try to stop that. Try not to assume the worst will happen. Well, I do sometimes, so I don't blame you. We all want to strive, right, towards not doing that. Just assess how rational this thought pattern is. So to start thinking resiliently, when you see this, be mindful. You can try meditation, deep breathing. I'm sure we had so many talks earlier today with other educators and thought leaders with great suggestions on how to be more mindful. So definitely please go back and reference some of the other speakers. Doing that, acknowledging your loss, your self-care, changing your thought patterns, this is all to help motivate the elephant, the part that feels pain, the part that feels pleasure. You need to get the elephant moving. Otherwise, he's just going to stay there. He ain't moving. So we've talked quite a bit about resilience. Let's talk a little bit about adaptive thinking, which is in my thinking, the second most important thing to empathy. Anders Ericsson, a Swedish psychologist and professor of psychology at Florida State University, says, adaptive thinking is when you recognize unexpected situations, quickly consider various possible responses, and decide on the best one. Basically, that's thinking on your feet. If you already have this skill, good, great for you. If not, you can learn to be. A high level of adaptability means you're generally better able to handle change successfully. So if you have any tips, please send them to me. I will take them. So adaptability is the difference between adapting to cope, which my earlier things were more to cope, if that is where we are working from right now, or adapting to win and perform at a higher level. So this is like next level resilience, pretty much. But you can start with it at any time. So without adaptive thinking, to finish up, you remain rigid in your mindset. And that is absolutely what we do not want when it comes to change management. And right now, we don't have a choice. It's easy in other parts of your life to say, well, I really, for example, I hate my job. 20 years down the line, I still hate my job. It's the same job. It's easy not to move. It's a comfort zone. But right now, we do not have a choice. We have all been forced into this crazy coronavirus COVID-19 situation. Things are changing whether we want it to or not. So, are you designing your mindset to be resilient? Think about this throughout the rest of our talk. As educators, as leaders, we consider ourselves lifelong learners. And as such, we like to find innovative ways to solve problems. So let's bring you to a wonderful children's book, but I promise it's for all ages. What's in a Problem by Kobe Yamada.
And now, what do you do with a problem? Written by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by Mae Bessel. I don't know how it happened, but one day I had a problem. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I really didn't like having a problem, but it was there. Why is it here? What does it want? What do you do with a problem? I thought. I wanted to make it go away. I shooed it. I scowled at it. I tried ignoring it, but nothing worked. I started to worry about my problem. What if it swallows me up? What if my problem sneaks up and gets me? What if it takes away all of my things? I worried a lot. I worried about what would happen. I worried about what could happen. I worried about this and I worried about that. And the more I worried, the bigger my problem became. I wished it would just disappear. I tried everything I could to hide from it. I even found ways to disguise myself. But it still found me. And the more I avoided my problem, the more I saw it everywhere. I thought about it all the time. I didn't feel good at all. I couldn't take it anymore. This has to stop, I declared. Maybe I was making my problem bigger and scarier than it actually was. After all, my problem hadn't really swallowed me up or attacked me. I realized that I had to face it. So even though I didn't want to, even though I was really afraid, I got ready and I tackled my problem. When I got face to face with it, I discovered something. My problem wasn't what I thought it was. I discovered it had something beautiful inside. My problem held an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to learn and to grow, to be brave, to do something. It showed me that it was important to look closely because some opportunities only come once. So now I see problems differently. I'm not afraid of them anymore because I know their secret. Every problem has an opportunity for something good. You just have to look for it.
Awesome. I hope you liked that video. So what we've learned is, as lifelong learners, we get to find the opportunity in our own workload, in others, in our teams, our students, in life. That's the plan. We talked a little bit about empathy for yourself, with resilience, with adaptive thinking, and with curiosity. But what about for your team? Maybe your managers, your bosses, but also your students, your peers, anyone else you can think of. I know other talks today have already gone over virtual interaction, so I won't go over it too long, but to quickly gloss over, I truly believe that planning, prep, and combating Zoom fatigue, whether it's Google Meet fatigue or WebEx fatigue, whatever you like to use, those are all important things. So what does that really mean? It's more than just agenda planning. It's more than just curriculum planning. You have a different layer of interaction now that you have to think about. You're no longer in a room physically with others where you have nonverbal cues. Everything is basically one dimension now. So how can you prep? You can send reminders, recurring calendar invites, depending what grade you teach, or adults, kids. Have you prepped for technical issues, which is, I have to admit, one of my biggest concerns. There always seems to be something, no matter how much you troubleshoot, there's something new the next time you log in.
Yeah.
You have time to prep guides, step-by-step guides, I mean it. Log in, put in your password, do this, click the other button, click the shiny button. And this guide, especially if you're teaching younger kids, send it to their parents or guardians, because I don't know if a 5-year-old will be able to pull up that email you sent 2 days ago and run through the checklist. But this is a way you can prep and get them set up for success. Basically, this is shaping the path. Make it easier for them to adapt to something new. I definitely threw a little mini tantrum when I realized I'm very lucky to work from home, but I also get to do all these virtual meetings now too. So tech issues are a big concern. So prepping for that will go a long way. On top of that, can you do follow-up notes? I know it'll take more time. You can also, if you're doing a class or even a meeting, you can assign roles, maybe a note taker. If someone loves taking notes, that's their job now. Yay. If not, we can rotate. This is really good for younger kids, or even going into high school. This is a great way if you give them a template. It teaches them how to take notes, how to concentrate on concepts, what to add in, maybe shave off the fluff in the discussion. You can assign roles like the timekeeper. I'm sure that'll go a long way. Like 5 more minutes, teacher, you're done. We get recess. Things like that. You can assign a greeter, someone who's supposed to log in 10 minutes early with you. And while you are still prepping, they can welcome everyone else and say hi, see how they're doing, maybe check in. Did you do your homework? Get this ready. The greeter can also be the tech person or a different person, someone who answers questions. How do you share screen? How do you check your audio? Things like that. Give them responsibilities. Make them feel like they're doing something valuable, because they are. They really are. They're helping you. My favorite role is assigning someone the Elmo role, not the Sesame Street character. Elmo stands for enough already, let's move on. So if you've ever just watched a discussion between a select few students going head to head and it just goes nowhere for the next hour, you need an Elmo person. I need an Elmo person too. So all this helps you direct their rider, right? The rider and the elephant. It makes the path to the destination, learning the lesson, smooth, easy to understand. Great. How about the elephant? Because it's hard for a lot of us to just sit here for 20 minutes, 2 hours, 6 hours in front of a screen all day, every day. So be proactive about scheduling breaks. You can also start as during your breaks, do stretches, guided meditations, guided exercises. It'll help get people's minds off of what you've been talking about, reset, and come back fresh and focused. You can do interactive breakout rooms. You can even join different breakout rooms. You can do spotlights. This is a very movement-focused suggestion, but in a fitness class, sometimes some instructors will, at the end, take the last 5 minutes and say, hey, let's go one by one and demonstrate your favorite move that you learned today. Or, whatever, your favorite move of all time, right? Something like they feel good about sharing and they feel like they have been noticed and validated by you. Zoom takes so much focus, more than usual, because it's harder to see nonverbal cues that you normally would. So it's important to keep the elephant motivated and not bored, not stagnant. Keep moving. That's the key. What else? Communication. Make yourself easy to follow. Be clear about your vision. What are we learning today? What are we discussing today? Try not to go off track. That's why you need an Elmo person or an actual Elmo doll. That's cool too. Use simple language and directions that everyone can understand. So be specific, be concrete, help your team or your students or class understand what's different about this situation versus your original plan, which is most likely being in the same room together. For me, I work in a medical education residency program, and recruitment season is always October through January. And we're talking a big deal with at least 2 meals, snacks, coffee, meeting about 5 million people, taking tours, all of it. It's great. It's super fun. We cannot do that anymore. And this is applicable to residencies across the US and probably worldwide. So I needed to help my team, especially my residents, understand that they can no longer meet these applicants in person, no matter how much they want to. They really wanted to. This is their potential colleagues that they'll be working with next year. But we're all moving virtual. I'm sorry you're disappointed. I'm sorry there's no food, but this is what it is. So back to my earlier story, being on a train with no clear directions of which bathroom belong to which gender. Don't do that. Design your environment to be easy, not just having someone like me stand there going, I swear I know what I'm doing, and I swear I'm an adult, but I still can't figure out this sign to figure out which gender bathroom I just entered. You know, you want to make people feel good. And being clear, easy, and intuitive makes people feel good. Here's the bulk of it. Engagement and innovation. What can you do? Resilience includes finding humor. I find I'm more of a sarcastic humor, so I infuse a lot of that in the way I teach and the way I speak. If you are great at jokes, good. If you're observantly funny, all the power to you. But find a way to break the ice and get people loosened up and relaxed. Talk about problems more than feelings. Why? Problems have solutions. If you've ever been in a situation where you're unhappy about your relationship or your job or something, there's always something. And you find like-minded people and you start talking and it goes around in circles. And next thing you know, it's 60 minutes later and none of you have done any productive work. So, definitely talk about feelings, but don't let yourself get into a rabbit hole and never come out of it. It'll take that much longer to recenter and refocus. Help others to find the opportunity in the problem. We're all sharing a mass problem that spans the world. We all have something in common right now. This is rare and incredibly, I don't want to say amazing because this pandemic is not amazing, in my opinion, but it's definitely an opportunity to say, hey, what can we learn? What can we do? I really like to share this example. My partner, he is a district teacher for special education here in Hawaii. He's been doing this for almost 20 years. Well, he's been teaching and was recently a district teacher, but we actually found this book together, the What's in a Problem book. And for him, he chose to tell his team of sped teachers across 6 schools that right now, yes, we have all this going on, but we have the chance to get really good at this. Because previously, Hawaii, we were not able to accommodate other physically, special students who had trouble coming to school daily for whatever reason, or for students who, got pregnant early and had to take time off. It was very hard to accommodate them. There was a lot of physical hands-offs and either just staying back after their senior year over the summer. It was a variety of other alternatives. But now we're all going virtual. So what's it to say someone who can't get out of bed one morning because they just did a treatment, why can't they stream in live? They can. Turn on the camera. The teacher's already talking. Say if we're back to normal. Someone who's on her last trimester or just could not find a babysitter that day for her newborn. Why can't she just Zoom in, WebEx in, Google Meet, Why not? Have one-on-ones. This is the perfect opportunity to perfect our processes. Find that opportunity in your life. Next, don't expect stability. We can't see the future, but I can say I was one of those students. If you at least mentally prepared me that, hey, today we're doing plan 800, but tomorrow we might be doing plan 801, at least hey, you gave me a heads up, so thank you. That you provided a path. It might be a path that's not yet created or not clear, not smooth, not easy, but I know that there's another path that I might need to take, and I'm ready for it. So, something to think about. Breakout rooms. Again, I think breakout rooms are a great way to engage and innovate. The difference in a real life classroom is you can just throw them into different corners and tell them to lower their volume. Boom, instant groups. Not so in a virtual room. If it's just you speaking, all 20 or all 30, all 400 of them need to listen only to you. So do breakout rooms. Let them build their own networks and their own support system. Let them be leaders within their little tribes. And this can change. This is important. What else is important in engagement? Active listening. Be curious. We mentioned check-ins, but I think I want to talk about curiosity where you empathize. Instead of saying to someone, hey, Karen, I noticed you didn't turn in your report. You know, your grade drops to an F if you don't turn it in. What's up with that? You know, you don't need to make someone feel like that. You don't need to make someone be put on the spot. Be curious. Hey, Karen, I noticed you didn't turn in your report yet. Did you have any questions? Or are you having trouble finding some references? Is there anything I can do to help? Or is there someone I can refer you to, maybe that you might want to talk up to? Be curious. That will bring you to empathize. And furthermore, build your connection to them. They now know you've got their back. Ask for ideas versus giving solutions. As a leader, as an educator, you're there to support their growth from beneath. You're not there to be the rider trying to pull the elephant, the 6-ton elephant, because combined with 40 people compared to you, you're not there to try to lead and try to boss them around. You're there to support from beneath. Grow their roots, water. If you like flowers, use that analogy. Water the flowers. This is how you get buy-in, because that's really what the elephant is about. Create buy-in, motivate, and get support. By giving them the strength, the tools, and the resources, they can get themselves there. And guess what? This is building capacity. By doing this, they can support others, like in the breakout rooms. So as you build capacity, you teach 10, and those 10 teach another 10 each. So now you've built this whole root system, this network that just starts spreading further and further. You're building more capacity. They, in turn, keep going. You're being an influencer. I recently finally watched a classic called Dune. It's a movie. They're doing another remake soon, and it's a book series as well, which I have not read, but I've heard about. And what I loved was in that movie, the leader, who is the people's choice, like their chosen one, their prophesied one, he stands in front of a long hallway of thousands of people, and he announces, because they want him to teach them his fighting technique. He says, he directs their path. I will take your top 100 warriors and train them, and they in turn will teach the thousands. This is what building capacity is. This is what getting buy-in is. Active listening also includes treating students as actors instead of treating them like recipients. I'm sure you've heard the proverb, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. But what the proverb doesn't add is he can also teach someone else to fish. And that person can teach another person, and so on. And eventually, everyone will know how to fish, and all the fish will be eaten, and then we'll all starve. No, I'm kidding. But we will, at that time, need to learn to grow, harvest fish, and that's change. That's exactly what this is. But before you even get there, you're teaching a whole community to learn. You're giving a community the tools and the strength. So where can we, as lifelong learners, lifelong leaders, find opportunities to design our virtual environment with empathy? Remain curious in order to be adaptive and resilient to create and manage change in your empathetic learning spaces. As we've been talking about through the last 45 minutes, remember to assess and create a plan for the rider, whether it's for your own rider or someone else's rider. Motivate to create support and gratification from the elephant. You are creating buy-in. And smooth out the journey. Smooth the path by clearing away obstacles and leaving a clear shot to the destination, whether it is a big goal or a small goal. Make things easy. Make it seamless, instinctive. We talked a lot today, so there's a takeaway from today's talk. Don't trust me when I tell you which bathroom is which. I'm kidding. I'm really not kidding. Like, don't trust me anyway on bathrooms, now that you know my secret. But there's a lot we talked about today, and if there's one thing you should take away, it's this. Change is hard. In order to support yourself and others, you must create buy-in. Thank you.
Don't wait. Hey, there you are. Can you hear me?
Here I am.
Okay, good. Excellent job, Jen. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for choosing to present at the Teach-a-thon. You are awesome. And you've gotten so many comments in the stream. It was great. And
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you.
Excellent job. Really good material. Very good. Thank you. I'm going to click end broadcast. Thank you again. Great.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Karen.